Everyone was convinced that XRP was finished. Social feeds were flooded with panic. But just when the fear kind of peaked, XRP did something that left everyone a bit stunned. And it turned my whole kind of approach to crypto on its head. Let me take you back to one of the most chaotic mornings in crypto that I've ever experienced. Now, it started as a regular day, me sipping on some water and checking my phone, as I do every single morning, when I suddenly saw that XRP was in freefall. Now, the price was tanking a bit like a rock, and the community sentiment, oh man, it was bad, right? Now, I'm talking outright doom and gloom. Right, on October 10th, a flash crash slammed the entire crypto market, and XRP, it got hit pretty hard. Within hours, XRP had plunged from around $2.80 to nearly $1.30, even $1.25 on Binance. A drop of over 50%. It felt like the floor was falling from underneath us. I jumped into our free educational Discord server. The link is in the description, by the way. And it was pure chaos. People were freaking out, right? Some were even saying that they were done with XRP. Others were kind of just, I guess, kind of consoling their losses. Twitter or X or whatever we're going to prefer to call it these days was even worse, right? Big accounts and small traders alike were screaming that this was the end of XRP as we know it. The wave of negative sentiment was actually recorded by Sentiment, a crypto analytics firm. They later confirmed that around that time, XRP had the lowest ratio of positive to negative comments in 9 months. Just think about that. The crowd haven't been this bearish all year. The fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt, yes, big time FUD, were absolutely everywhere. And honestly, it was a bit contagious. Now, I'm going to be real with you guys. I kind of felt that pit in my stomach too. Seeing my favorite investment literally get cut in half in a mere matter of hours is pretty scary, right? My phone was blowing up with texts, right? One from a friend who said, "Is XRP going to zero? Should I sell now?" I even saw some people in the Discord saying that they were selling everything and just giving up. It was that insane, that intense. I mean, 1.6 million people were wrecked. And for a split second, I wondered if they might all be right. Was I about to watch one of my biggest crypto holdings just go up in smoke? But here is the thing, and this is kind of where the story really gets interesting. Instead of hitting that panic button, I just paused and I took a deep breath, right? I've been in this crypto game long enough to know that when everyone is screaming doom, that actually might be the opportunity that is in disguise. There's a famous old quote from Baron Rothschild, right? Buy when there is blood in the streets, even if the blood is your own. Well, on October 10th, there was blood in the streets for XRP. Figuratively speaking, of course, right? Everyone was bleeding red, and that quote was ringing in my head louder than the panic. So, against every instinct telling me to run for the hills, I actually did something a little bit contrarian. I bought more XRP. Just a little bit, nothing life-changing. I'm not a whale or anything like that. But I did add to my stack while XRP was crashing and the crowd was in full-on despair. It kind of felt like I was stepping into a burning building while everyone else was just running out. Now, my heart, it was pounding. I'm not going to lie. Part of me thought that I was nuts. But another part of me actually remembered all of the times in the past when going against the herd actually paid off. I mean, if Sentiment's data said sentiment was at 9-month low, well, that meant that everyone was already bearish. And if everyone already thinks one way, well, the market often likes to move in the opposite direction. Guess what? Within days, my contrarian move actually started to look pretty smart. XRP had rebounded, and not just by a little bounce either. I'm talking a big, powerful surge upwards. From a low of around $1.25 on Binance's chart, XRP had shot up to about $2.50 in a matter of just a few days. Now, at least by the following Monday, it actually even touched on $2.55 before cooling off a bit. So, do the math. That's roughly a 76%, maybe a little bit more, rebound from the bottom in less than just 2 weeks. Insane, right? Well, if you had blinked, you might have missed it. 1 minute, everyone was convinced that XRP was dead in the water, right? The next minute, it was that like XRP had said, no, I'm still here, and just climbed back up. You should have seen the reactions online. It was pure disbelief, right? The same people who were yelling sell, sell, sell at $1.30 were now just scratching their heads as XRP had rocketed back above $2. Some of them even FOMO'd back in at a higher price after selling at the bottom. Ouch, that is painful. This is a classic case of the market doing the opposite of what most people actually expected. In fact, Sentiment pointed out that all of that negativity that we saw was effectively a buy signal. Now, historically, when the crowd gets too bearish on XRP, it often marks a bottom. It's kind of like the universe loving to prove the majority wrong, and this time was no different. Now, I don't have a crystal ball or anything. I don't know for certain that XRP would bounce like that, or at least I didn't at the time. I wish I did, right? But I did have a hunch, backed by experience, after all, I've been in this game a long time, and of course a little bit of data, that the sell-off was just overdone. Now, it just didn't make a lot of sense for XRP to be down that hard, while nothing about the project itself had actually fundamentally changed overnight. Plus, I noticed something else that a lot of panic sellers missed, right? And this is that the whales, the big XRP holders, were totally calm during all of it. Suddenly, the on-chain data from Sentiment shared by crypto analyst Ali Martinez, it showed that large XRP holders basically sat on their hands throughout the entire crash. They were not dumping their bags like small traders were. They also weren't suddenly buying up a ton more either. They were just holding steady, just watching. Now that told me that the big players, they're not afraid. They were not afraid then and they're not afraid now. If anything, they were cautiously observing, maybe waiting for the storm to pass. Then I saw that, at least when I saw that, it kind of gave me a bit more confidence that I might actually be doing the right thing by not joining all of the panic. And lo and behold, those whales were right to just chill, because XRP came right back. So by the time that it hit $2.50 again, those whale wallets were still intact. And the only people who had lost out were the ones who had sold in fear or were over-leveraged. It's a wild reminder, right, that in crypto, patience and a cool head can pay off big time. Now, at this point, I was feeling pretty relieved, right? My risky move to buy when others were selling was paying off. But before I continue here, I do need to say something rather important. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your own responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, I'm glad that we got this out of the way. Right, I know that disclaimer, it is a little bit of a buzzkill. But it is also, I should say, it's a non-negotiable. It has to be done because I care about you guys and I want you to be real, at least to be real with you, and that these moves are just my own and they are my opinions, and none of this is financial gospel. So, with all of that said, let's get back into the story, because the story doesn't end with me patting myself on the back for catching that particular bounce. In fact, this whole roller coaster got me thinking about a much bigger picture and how I approach crypto moving forward. So when you kind of live through an XRP crash and a rebound just like that, it makes you reflect on your own strategy. Sure, I was lucky, right? And maybe I was a little bit kind of shrewd to snag some XRP at those lower prices at the time, right? But what about the longer run? Now, my goal isn't just to be a one at least to kind of time one dip, right? It'd be a one and done. It's actually to kind of keep growing, my crypto holdings and to be more prepared for whatever comes next, especially if XRP is heading where I think it is. Now that brings me to a little side quest that I've been on, something that I've mentioned in previous videos, exploring new ways to earn crypto passively. One project in particular that has caught my attention is called Unity. Now, Unity is not the main focus of today's video. XRP obviously holds that crown. But it is a cool part of my overall crypto journey that I want to share with you all briefly here. Right? Let's think of Unity nodes as a crypto community-driven way to stack even more crypto without constantly trading. Now, the concept is pretty straightforward. You run a special app on your devices, like a spare smartphone, and in return, you can earn some crypto rewards. It's kind of like mining or staking, but it is with a twist. It's more about contributing to a decentralized network, a telecoms network, via your smartphone, these kind of nodes. Now, people have been buzzing about all of this, and I was intrigued enough to go ahead and give it a try. So I went ahead and I purchased a Unity node master NFT a while back. Now, why an NFT? Because that NFT acts as a master node license. Basically, owning it gives you the ability to run 200 instances of the Unity app. 200 licenses, basically. It's actually 201 NFTs in total. So think of them as 200 mini nodes then. Right now, don't worry, I'm not about to go ahead and set up 200 phones in my garage or on my desk here or do anything crazy. My plan is actually to start small when the Unity app goes live, right? I'm going to fire up these 10 phones right here to run a test. I want to see how this thing works in practice. How stable is it? What kind of rewards I actually get before even thinking about scaling up. It's all about testing the waters first. The neat part is that the rewards that I earn from Unity nodes, right? I have chosen, I'm going to be choosing, I should say, to be paid out in some of my favorite cryptocurrencies because they're not just creating a new token that no one knows of that you're going to be earning. No, you can earn actual cryptocurrencies that are already in existence. I'm going to be choosing specifically Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, and XRP to be my payout options. And yes, you heard that right. I found a way that might allow me to earn even more XRP on the side passively. It's kind of like staking, but without me having to actually lock up any of my existing XRP. Instead, I'm just running an app that could give me XRP and other coins as a reward over time. Now, if this experiment works out, it could become a nice way to accumulate even more crypto without actually having to constantly pour in fresh capital, like cash, or spending hours doing trading. That is pretty cool, right? Now, I do want to be totally clear. I'm not hyping up Unity as the next big thing or telling anyone to go and throw all of their money at it. This, to me, is a bit of an experiment. It is not necessarily a sure thing. You should always do your own research. In fact, I'll drop a link in the description down below to Unity's light paper and their rewards calculator so that you can read up on it and decide for yourself if it's something that is interesting to you. Everyone's risk tolerance is going to be different. Many of you OG subscribers already know about Unity since we've talked about it in a whole bunch of previous videos. And it's nothing new if you've been down in the channel for a while or in the Discord server. But for the newer people, I just wanted to share what I'm up to, right? Because it's a part of how I am planning for the future. I actually believe in the Unity concept enough that I went and acquired a second and third Unity Master Node NFT, right? Why 2 more? Well, aside from possibly scaling up my own operation later, I had an idea. Not everyone wants to drop the funds to buy a full master node, with 200 licenses, right? That's an awful lot of licenses that you're going to have to potentially lease out, sell, or potentially have 200 devices for. So this second and third node, I'm actually going to be leasing out some of my licenses, available licenses to people who are curious about Unity, but, don't want to buy a whole node for themselves. This way, others can test the waters with Unity on a much smaller scale. Now, I'm still going to be ironing out all of the details on this. I think we're going to be going with a 90-10 split. So 90% of the profit would go to the person operating it and 10% to the channel here as an example. But, more details can be found on our website and, of course, in the Discord server where we're going to be sharing all the updates for anyone who is interested. All the links are in the description, by the way. It's another experiment within an experiment, and I want to see how it all goes. So if you are interested, definitely keep an eye on the free Discord. The link is in the description for all the latest news on that one. So the crypto space, it is full of these little projects and opportunities to earn on the side, right? Unity Nodes is just one that I personally found really intriguing and decided to give it a try. It fits with my broader strategy here to accumulate crypto steadily and be ready for when the market really does take off. It's why we run validator nodes as well, because, we can stake and we can earn passively. And speaking of market really taking off in the future, let's circle back to XRP's future here, because the story is definitely not over at $2.50. You see, remember those analysts and influencers who were so bearish during the crash, right? Well, the winds have changed very quickly. Now that XRP has not only survived that drop, but came roaring back, I'm seeing the same old, or at least some old kind of bold predictions that pop up in the kind of near future, right? Because it's like people went from saying XRP is done to XRP is going to the moon in just a matter of a week. That is typical crypto, right? You got to love some of these influencers and their nonsense, I guess. I mean, one well-known crypto enthusiast who goes by the name of Whale Guru, recently made a pretty head-turning prediction, right? He believes that XRP is on track to hit a new all-time high of $5 before the year ends. $5. Now, for perspective, XRP's previous all-time high was around $3.30 or $3.86, depending on your data source, back in the day. So $5 would be uncharted territory. And Whale.Guru, didn't stop there either. He's also predicting that Bitcoin will absolutely explode to about $250,000. That's $250,000 per BTC. So if Bitcoin did something that dramatic, it would likely lift the entire crypto market, XRP included. Now, in that scenario, $5 XRP might even end up looking conservative. Another analyst that I keep an eye on, Ash Crypto, has a slightly different take, but still very bullish. He's forecasting XRP to reach around $8 by year's end, though he notes a lower target of around $5 if things don't go too crazy. Now, his prediction assumes that Bitcoin could run up to somewhere like $150,000 and $200,000. So if that happens, he expects a whole lot of capital to flow into top altcoins like XRP, helping to drive those up, even higher, at least drive up those higher prices and those higher price ranges. Now, I know that these numbers might sound hypey or overly optimistic. Can we really expect XRP to double or triple from here in such a short space of time? Well, the honest answer is that no one knows for sure, right? These are just educated guesses, if we can call them that. Not guarantees, of course. But here's why I'm personally leaning more bullishly here, right? Aside from my genuinely kind of positive stance on XRP, we actually just saw XRP defy the crowd and jump 76% plus when sentiment was at rock bottom. Now that tells me that when the narrative flips positive, the price can move fast and catch a whole lot of people off guard. If Bitcoin really does make a run towards the kind of, $250,000 level that some people are predicting, then it could actually create a rising tide that lifts all boats, including XRP and other strong projects in a big way. Plus, let's not forget the fundamentals supporting XRP, from Ripple's ongoing partnerships to real-world usage, which could actually give it more fuel in the longer run, though that's a whole kind of topic for probably another video. The bottom line is that I'm preparing for some potential fireworks with XRP. Hope for the best, plan for the worst, as the saying goes. And planning, for the best means that I want to be ready if and when XRP takes off like a rocket. So let me share a couple of practical things that I'm doing to stay prepared, which might also help a lot of you guys too. First, let's talk about the exchanges and having a game plan here, right? If the market heats up, you don't want to be scrambling to set up accounts at the last minute or be stuck because one exchange is completely overloaded. So here's a tip from my playbook. I've signed up for, I've completed KYC on, and even tested transactions with as many reputable exchanges as I can. Essentially, I have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and so on. So if exchange number 1 goes down or halts some withdrawals, we've all seen that happen when things get crazy, right? Well, I can move to exchange number 2 or number 3, right? This way, I'm not locked out of taking profits or buying dips due to technical issues or high traffic. It's kind of like having multiple exits in a crowded theatre. You hope you're never going to need them, at least in an emergency. But you know what? It's good to know that they're actually there. Now, I keep a list of all of the exchanges that I trust and I use regularly on my website. I've actually put a whole list and put all of my affiliate links for these exchanges on my website, which is linked in the description. So if you're looking to open up a new account, let's say on, Coinbase, Binance, Bluefin, BitGet, Bybit, Kraken even, which we'll talk about in a minute, then, there are, of course, affiliate links on my website. Now, full disclosure, of course, those are affiliate links. I've mentioned it twice already, which means that if you do use them, i.e. sign up and trade through them, it supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. Now, I genuinely appreciate it because it helps me keep making these videos for you guys. But affiliate or not, the key point is still the same. You've got to get yourself set up on multiple platforms ahead of time. You don't want to be caught in a situation where, for example, XRP is skyrocketing or there is another crash and you can't log in to your account to do what you need to do, right? I've been there, I've done that, and I've learned my lesson. Now, speaking of exchanges, I have to mention a really cool opportunity that came up. Now, Kraken sent me an email. Yes, that Kraken, the crypto exchange. And they wanted to hook you guys up, fire me, with a special promotion, just for the cheeky crypto community. And specifically, the XRP army. Right? Now, they've got a special promo where you can score some free XRP. And here is how it works. If you sign up for Kraken, right, using my affiliate link that I've put in the description below, and you trade at least $100 worth of any cryptocurrency, but it is excluding stablecoins, within 30 days of opening your account, Kraken is going to reward you with $25 of XRP. That's right, you get $25 in XRP as a bonus. It's basically a sweet sign-up deal or reward to actually help you stack a little bit more XRP. Now, this is a limited time offer, so don't sleep on it if you are interested. Now, I have all the details and the terms and conditions linked on my website, and you can find the official terms on Kraken's website as well, and I've put a link to that in the description below. It's worth noting that this is not affiliated with YouTube in any way. This is specifically Kraken and Kraken's crypto exchange that is offering this. Just make sure that you use the correct link that is in the description to make sure that you are eligible for this offer. And of course, it is like a win-win-win situation, right? You get a free chunk of XRP to boost your bag, right? Kraken also get a new user, and using my link supports the channel here. It's a win-win-win situation. Now, even if Kraken is not your thing, that's totally fine, by the way. The bigger takeaway here is to seize good opportunities and to be prepared. Now, in my case, that means having multiple crypto exchange accounts ready and to take advantage of any promos just like this one when they align with my own goals. I mean, who doesn't like free XRP, right? Okay, so it has been an eventful few weeks, to say the least. The whole XRP roller coaster really kind of reinforced the classic lesson for me, that when everyone is fearful, sometimes the best time to actually be courageous. Now, the crowd was absolutely terrified, and in this case, the crowd was absolutely wrong. The contrarians, and hey, I guess I was one of them this time round, were rewarded. Now, equally important here, it underscores the value of being prepared and having a plan, right? I didn't just luck out here. I also relied on the data, like sentiment and whale activity, to inform me of all of my moves, right? I made sure that I had my exchange accounts all lined up. and that I'm experimenting with new ways to actually grow my holdings, such as Unity. This is about staying nimble and adaptable. Ultimately, I believe in XRP's long-term potential here, and I am super bullish as I ever have been, right? But not just because the price pumped recently, or dumped even, right? But because time and again, XRP has shown its resilience and its ability to surprise a lot of people, right? Especially when most people underestimated it, right? Could XRP hit $5 or $8 as some are predicting? You know what? It's definitely possible, but nothing is ever guaranteed, of course. But it is on the table. And if it does do that, then I want to be there with a solid game plan and a level head. If it doesn't, well, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be sticking to my principles that I've laid on out. I'm going to stay informed. I'm going to be managing my risk. And most importantly, think for yourself rather than blindly following the herd. So if there's one big takeaway from my story today, this is it. Right? Don't let the crowd's fear dictate your decisions. Always do your own research, trust your own analysis, and have a strategy for both the good times and the bad. Crypto is a pretty wild ride, there's no doubt about it. But if you're prepared, it's a ride that you can actually enjoy and profit from rather than just fear. Now, if you have found this video helpful or even as exciting as I did, then please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter of this crypto adventure. Trust me here, right? Things are only getting more interesting from here, and I can't wait to share it all with you guys. So I'll see you all in the next one.